I've been train driving for 12 years in Queensland Rail, started up in Townsville, came down to the Case Ridge driving freight, then I transferred across to City Train about 4 years ago. Driving the City Trains gives me a new experience, plus also just pushes the importance of extra safety around the Brisbane suburban area because of the high speeds of the trains and how quiet they are. Mums and dads, when they're driving cars, they don't realise the impact of not stopping at a level crossing. The lights and gates are there for your safety as well as ours. They come down earlier to make sure the road is clear so we can go through safely and then you can continue living your life. No matter what the time is, it says on the clock I can start work. So I could start work 1 o'clock in the morning and the next day I could start at 7 o'clock the next morning. So mentally we've got to be refreshed and ready, prepared to drive the train, encounter what comes ahead of us each day, whether it be the weather conditions which increase the braking distance, it could be level crossings, could be failures of any sort. You just got to be, each day is different, it's a challenge. To prepare the train's quite simple, I suppose you'd call it. We go through, ensure the operation of the doors and the lights and that for the passengers, but from a driver's point of view, ensure the braking system's working, the radio communications is working, the headlights, all the safety functions, whether it's contact control, the doors, the emergency brakes, everything like that that combines to safety has to be working, otherwise we do not take the trains out. It's that simple. Safety first, nothing else matters. Some of the near misses I've had, especially with level crossings, are people who have been impatient. They've driven around the crossing, they've come through the crossing prior to the gates coming down. You come around the corner, you expect the gates and lights to be working, they're working and people just are in too much of a hurry to go through. You sound the klaxon, put the brake on and just, if they go through, that's great, release the brakes, continue on, then you stop and report it. A lot of the times we're lucky, I suppose for want of a better word, that they go through, for what reasons I don't know. Many of my friends and colleagues in the industry have hit cars because they're in the wrong reason and they unfortunately have been fatals. Near misses can happen almost every day where people just drive through the boom gates coming down or they drive around them when they're down. They see a train go past and they drive behind you. There could be another train coming which they can't see. It's just an everyday occurrence which we have to try and stamp out. How are we going to do it? How do you educate the public more when the safety system's already there? I don't know. A specific near miss that I had happened about 6 months ago at a station called Dimmoor on the Ipswich line. It was about 4:30, 5 in the afternoon, coming into Dimmoor, heading towards town, and a group of teenagers, as I was at the end of the platform, braking, jumped across from one platform to the other to catch my train. I didn't miss them by much, but it scared the hell out of me because didn't know if I was going to hit them or whatever. I stopped, had to report it, but I was shaking and that, got to the end of the line in Bowen Hills and I just said I couldn't do it today, just get me home. That one really threw me because for no reason, they just jumped across the track to save time, but they didn't think of the consequences, whether it be their family, my family, or the people behind me who, the customers or the passengers, they might even see something that no one should have to see. I was shaking, I just didn't understand it. They thought it was a big laugh, a big joke. Oh yeah, we jumped in front of a train and didn't get hit, but you go home with it. About a couple of weeks ago, we were in the shopping centre and a child ran in front of a car and the wife told me to stop and said this kid nearly got hit, and it just brought all the motion and that back. I got out of the car and I started shaking. It just, little flashbacks sometimes just occur and just, they're not good to flash back to, I suppose, for want of a better word. It does affect you, you try and forget it, each day is different, but somehow or other there's always a little trigger that just could bring it back. A couple of years ago, two very good friends of mine who are drivers, one I went to school with and one who was the tutor who signed me off to be a driver, were unfortunately killed in a level crossing accident where a truck came through the level crossing and the train collided. I was down here in Brisbane at the time, and an hour after the incident I got a phone call and I was just gutted. It shouldn't have happened. They went to work, they knew they were going to Cairns, doing their job, expected to get to Cairns, work out what they're doing for dinner, stuff like that, and they didn't make it. It just, and the ripple effect throughout the whole of Queensland when it came out was just incredible. All the drivers just couldn't believe it. We still had to go to work and do our job down here, but it just made it all that much harder to do because two of our colleagues went to work and didn't come home. And when we go to work, we always want to come home, first and foremost. Also with level crossings, you think of a family in a car, and I've had a family drive through, the father, the mother and the kids, and the person driving the car just came through. They didn't care about the passengers in the car, the partner, the children. Why are you going to risk your family's life for the sake of a couple of minutes? It happens quite often, and it's got to stop. It really does. In fine weather, an electric train in Queensland takes, at 100k an hour, it takes approximately 600 to 700 metres to stop at emergency braking. If it's raining, wet conditions, wet track, you could almost double that. That's just an electric train, which is only about 300-400 tonne. Come to a coal train or a freight train, which is anything from 2,000 to 14,000 tonne, make it a kilometre and a half, possible 2 kilometres. It all depends. It doesn't take a dime to stop. You see all these wheels, doesn't mean we're going to stop quickly. All I ask, if you see the level crossing, just stop, look and listen. It's been around for years, that same message. The boom gates, the lights, the stop signs are there to protect you. Make sure it's safe to cross, safe for you to cross and safe for us to come past you if we have to, when we have to. Remember, the train has right of way first and foremost. That's why it's called a railway crossing.